We don't.
You're muted.
It helps to unmute yourself. So, hello, Grace. Trish.
Hi.
Holger, hi, Trish, Missy, and Jackie, and Zoe. Hello, Zoe. Esther. Hello, George. And Walter. Wow. My goodness, that background is amazing. Isn't it? Richard. Hey, Marcon. Margot. Isaac. Commissaire Isaac. And Jackie. Salut, Shiva. So lovely to be with you. So the recording is on. And so, okay. So welcome. Welcome your experience, welcome presence. Presence, I, welcoming itself. A simple recognition that all I am and all I do is welcoming. By my very nature, I am welcoming. I am this welcoming. There is nothing in particular which I need to do to welcome myself and welcome my perceptions, my creation, my experience, my freedom. My reality. I am this reality. With infinite imagination, infinite creativity. Because my freedom is infinite. I am not limited by that which I perceive because that which I perceive, I conceive and create. Across the board in all possible dimensions, I am. And everything else derives conceptually from the I am. But it does not divide it. It does not separate I. Because I is not a concept. Rather, I is the reality of mind, the reality of thoughts, and the reality of concepts. And I is the reality of perception. Where in your entire experience in this moment do you not find yourself? You do not find yourself as an object, but you find yourself as yourself, as the I, the reality which perceives, the reality which is. Given everything is your creation and experience, like in your night dreams. Everything in your night dreams is your creation and your experience. While you are, as you are, untouched. Nothing at stake for the reality of yourself. The butterfly that you conceive and create and perceive in your dream, and the hungry lion that you conceive, create and perceive in your dream. are equal. None of them has any reality outside of yourself. None of them is truly good or evil. None of them is a real friend or foe. They are equal in that they are your play. Thought is not the enemy. Like the various clouds that appear within the borderless sky. The cloud that has the shape of an angel is not a friend of the sky, and the cloud that has the shape of a dragon is not an antagonist to the wide open sky. The sky is unconcerned about the shape and forms of the mind. Similarly, thoughts are mind forms, images, sounds, and shapes and colors. Like the sparkle of the firefly at the summer night. Thoughts appear to you. They are neutral events. Sometimes we believe that thoughts are a problem, that we need to get rid of them or fix them, or we need to have better thoughts. We separate ourselves from thought, and we imagine ourselves to be the target, the victim, the subject to the process of thinking. We give value and power to thought. which is an object of perception. We become captive of the process of thinking. But when you examine a thought, it's already gone. There is nothing there for you to get hold of. Where is the thought of a second ago? Where is the thought of a second from now? There is no power inherent in any object of your perception. Only the power that you give it, which is your freedom. To give power to thinking or to give power to sensations, to feelings. It's a game we choose to play. If you examine your experience right now, you won't find anything of substance outside of the reality of I, awareness. The ground of being, out of which and upon which the tapestry of experience appears. But in the background of experience and in the background of being, there is the belief. I am a separate, personal, limited consciousness. That I am somebody that exists in time and space, a man, a woman, somebody. It's a sort of a sweet thought, a comforting feeling that I am somebody. Like a a lullaby. I am this person. But that sweet lullaby veils a deep sense of separation, lack, isolation, and worry and concern. This belief is a thought, a particular type of thought. It's a thought that we have set in stone. It's not like the flicker of firefly in a summer night. It is more like a firefly that we've nailed to the wall. It's a particular type of thought that is based on false faith, false trust in global hysteria. Because when you take a look at this particular thought that is asserting that your reality is a body, mind, brain, you only find the concept of body, the concept of mind, the concept of brain. And that which perceives the so-called body, whether it's an image or a sensation or a feeling, that is not a belief. It's the reality of awareness. Invisible, infinite, non-finite. It's an experiential truth, experiential reality, not conceptual. It is not a concept which is hearing these words. the concept is perceived. It is not an object which is hearing these words. An object is perceived. It's not a feeling or a sensation which perceives this perception. Thoughts and feelings are perceived. Sensations are perceived. There's no ground upon which to ascertain or to base your belief that you're a man or a woman. It's a blind faith, really blind, truly blind. But the recurring thought that I am this person, I am this body, I am this student, I am this teacher, I am this engineer, I am this nurse, I am this son, daughter, this recurring thought refers to the body, refers to the egoic form, the form of this body-mind, but does not refer to reality which perceives, right? When the feeling that I am this person, feeling that I am me, feeling is an object of your perception. You perceive the feeling as a sensation, as a form. It's a subtle form which doesn't know you. That which is perceived does not know the perceiver. You may feel that you have a past and a future. Because the feeling tells you that. But in fact, the feeling tells you nothing. It's an appearance which you interpret whichever way you want. But we don't need to interpret. When we look at the clouds in the sky, what is there to interpret? You may have some commentary about the clouds, but the commentary that you may have about the clouds is not a commentary about yourself, consciousness. Similarly, you may have some commentary about some thoughts and feelings and sensations. But these commentaries are not about that which you truly are. Because that which you truly are is non-phenomenal. And there is no commentary that applies. Because consciousness is formless, there are no forms that refer to it. So you can relax and rest as being, as not knowing, being not knowing. I am, but I do not know what I am. I know that I don't know. Great wisdom. All your worries and concerns are about that which you imagine yourself to be. There is no one who is doing the imagining outside of yourself. You are the choreographer and the only player, playing all roles and choreographing all choreographies. So if you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, please go ahead and make sure you unmute your mic, and you're welcome to turn on the video. So any questions?
Hello, Magdi.
Hi, George.
I have a question about suffering. Not what causes suffering, but what is the nature of suffering? Can I suffer? Do you suffer? Who suffers? It seems to me that I can't suffer, that only a separate self can suffer, but there's no separate self. So yeah, maybe you can clarify this. What is the nature of suffering? And it's not a body sensation, and it's not an emotion. It doesn't appear to be a thought. Can you say something about it, please?
So in your night dreams, there is a lion chasing you, or maybe your loved one is leaving you. Or there's some situations happening in your night dream. So you're experiencing a perception. You're experiencing a dream mind state. But within this dream mind state, when there is something that you value, you're protecting it. You're going to sweat over it, worry about it, work hard to protect it. And in fact, in your night dream, there is nothing but your own mind. But when you decide that this gold is really valuable, and we're going to play the game of protecting it, if it's a game, you're having fun. You know, you play to win, like a tennis match or a swim competition, maybe effort, maybe a lot of planning, strategic alliances that you make to win, but you're playing. You know you are playing, and but you're playing it seriously. Although you're playing very seriously, you're sweating over it and playing the game. Oh darn! I lost this match. A few minutes later, okay, you know, you're okay because it really doesn't matter. There's really nothing, really truly nothing at stake. Because somehow you understand that you are dreaming this dream and you're on board. You're in cahoots with yourself to play this game. So then there is no talk about suffering. There is talk about excitement, feeling tired, feeling exhausted, feeling trepidation, feeling disappointment, but not suffering. Suffering is more when you play the game so well that you're completely identified with this one character, George, in the dream. Already you're suffering. Already you are suffering, because already the whole potential, the whole encyclopedia of suffering is in that nutshell, in that identification, that the particular identification. It's not an identification with the whole, it's a particular identification with a particular form, particular conception. So suffering is this particular identification. This does not mean that in fact there is somebody who is suffering, like in the traditional sense, where I am suffering, because there is no actual sufferer. there is no actual sufferer who is suffering. But yet, there is an identification. Who is identifying? There's only one player, only one reality. It's consciousness game. And we are somehow privy to both the wisdom, meaning we are consciousness, so we know ourselves. And we are also privy to ignorance. We are also privy to identification. We're holding all the cards. We're not just, the spade or the clubs. We're holding all the cards. So some of the cards that we're holding, we hold them face up. And some of the cards we're holding, we hold them face down. And every now and then we sort of we look at the other side and we go, oh, I am the only player. But then we go back to holding the cards, only certain cards being face up and other cards being face down. And eventually we become interested in both sides of the deck. When we come to the understanding that there is really nobody outside of consciousness. There is no reality outside of consciousness. There is no reality to what you call a separate self. As you said, there is no separate self. So who is it that suffers? No one. There is no suffering. There is really, really no suffering. And yet, whenever we overlook our reality and we sort of, whenever we go to this is our reality, whenever we go to this, which is at any moment, we can go back to identifying, I am this, but not that. I am this, but not that. Whenever we go from I am everything to I am this, but not that, which we can do at any moment, then we are right in the game of experiencing the sense of separation, the sense of lack, the hope, the regret, the strategies, the fears, worries. So there is in the game, in the design of things, consciousness, which is this borderless awareness, overlooks itself and identifies with a particular mind, rather than consciousness being this reality that perceives. It becomes, this person is perceiving. It overlooks its reality and it identifies with a particular reality, the objective reality, a reality of a body or a brain or a mind, or so it's the identification with a particular mind overlooking the fact that all minds are perceived by I. There's only one perceiver, one reality, one I, one awareness, one consciousness. So suffering is a game we play. It's our choice. And in a way, we play the games we love to play. Some people, they love to, you know, sometimes in Spain, they release the toros in the street. I forgot in which city they release the toros, and these toros are running, you know, and they can hurt you. But people love it. They like, there's maybe 2,000-3,000 people running. I mean, today you see so many people that are doing those daredevil games. You know, they ski from the top of the mountain, you know, and they try to race with an avalanche or something. Some crazy things like that. I don't know much about that. So yeah, we love that. We love our arguments. We love to argue. I mean, it's so strange. Like, we don't want to acknowledge or recognize that we love it. When we're doing it and we're loving it, but we're loving complaining. We're unhappy, miserable. We talk about how miserable it is, how, oh, the neighbors are miserable, the government is miserable, whatever, it's awful. But we're loving it. I wonder if there is some sort of meter that we could, like, sort of a scientific instrument that can measure your level of excitement when you are so in the complaining mind, you know, complaining about our partner, about life, about, oh, everything. We love it. Until we don't. When we don't, and we don't do it. We don't. In fact, in particular, I don't like doing that much. I don't enjoy that. Actually, not at all. I don't enjoy that at all. That's how the dice fall here, you know. So suffering is the belief that I am a person. It's a belief. So when we free ourselves from this belief via inquiry, via investigation, via contemplation, via reasoning, when we free ourselves from this belief, half the job is done. The other half is, of course, we still feel that we are something, we are a person. And then there is a process of somatic freedom at the somatic level, at the level of the feeling, so that you no longer feel yourself as a limited body, but you feel yourself as a universal body. It's not a particular feeling, it's more sort of an expansion of it's a relaxation of the contraction at the feeling level. There is contraction in the body, because to be a physical form, a contraction is required. And this contraction is an axle that's sort of twisted around the belief, I am this person, I am this, my history, my past, my future. That's the twisting, the axle, twisted, and so all that forms tension, a form of tension within the body. It's just a universal body. It sort of cracks into, you know, the muscles around the neck, everything. So there's a calcification, you know, of the form. So there's a process of reversing that, of relaxing that. Whenever you turn your attention to the sensation in your body and you allow them to be free, like the flight of a bird, whichever way the bird wants to fly. You allow those sensations. You don't try to fix them or to improve them or to direct them, to control them. Then you find that your natural state of more or less presence at the sensory level, at the somatic level, is reestablished.
So would you say that you never suffer?
I never suffers.
Is there an experience of suffering over there?
Whenever there is the belief in me that I'm a separate being, the potential of suffering is immediately on board. Now you say over there, as if you're separating yourself from myself. But this separation is conceptual. It's not experiential. Because it is conceptual, it may feel like there is some truth to it. But although it may feel like there is some truth to it, it's not experiential. There's a difference between the experiential and the conceptual or the feeling.
But in terms of the separation between you and me, I can experience body sensations, emotions, and stuff like that. And when I experience them, you don't experience them at the same time. So that's why I was asking whether you, either Magdi or whoever you consider yourself, whether you suffer. Is that an experience that happens over there? You know what I'm saying? I want to make a distinction.
I understand what you're saying. There is a flaw in your question, which is that your question is assuming. It's starting with an assumption.
I'm not clear. What assumption is that starting with?
It's the assumption that first that there is a separate knower, and that the knowing, that there is a knowing here that is different from a knowing there.
Yes, I do have that assumption. Yes.
Right. So, but if you examine your knowingness right now, your knowingness isn't determined by that which is known. Knowingness stands on its own.
Okay.
So, irrespective of what you know, irrespective of what you perceive, perception stands on its own. The awareness stands on its own.
Okay, I get it. So the objects that we perceive are different.
The object that we perceive conceptually are different. First, let me put it another way. Perceiving object is we already have entered into the conceptual realm. I just want to make
Yes,
sure.
I can see that now.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay,
Yes.
okay. So when you enter into the conceptual realm, you're now going into the rainbow, okay, the various colors of the rainbow.
Okay.
And the colors of the rainbow conceptually are infinite, conceptually, right? There is infinite potential of conceptualization. You agree with that?
Potential, yes, infinite potential, yes.
Of conceptualization.
Yes.
But although there is infinite potential of conceptualization, this does not mean that the knowingness is conceptual, that awareness is therefore of various shapes, colors, and forms, and is here and different from there. And when there is this experience, it's different. When there is that experience, it's different. When we're perceiving the red, it's different. When so the conceptual realm is the multiplicity, but the noumenal realm is not a multiplicity. It's very important to understand, because at the base of your question, at the assumption, and at the behind your question, there is an assumption that awareness over there, the knowingness over there, the knowingness over here, whatever over there, over here is, because that's already in the conceptual realm, because you have to conceptualize over there and over here. You cannot experientially experience over there and over here without conceptualizing it first.
Yes, I get that. It makes communication rather difficult, but yes, I get that.
Well, but it makes communication clearer. We have some clarity,
Right.
so that we can.
Okay, but I can ask you, do you have a stomach ache now?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a stomach ache now?
A stomach ache. Do I perceive a stomach ache? Well, no, I don't perceive a stomach ache right now. Do you perceive a stomach ache?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's say that. I think the question you're posing is, if at the local mind level in Southern California there is a stomach ache being perceived, and if at a different local location there is no stomach ache perceived, therefore, what is the distinction? What is the difference? Is that your question?
Well, it wasn't, but it seems like it's getting to that. I mean, I really wanted to know. I wanted to know, do you have a stomach ache now? But I wasn't really interested in your stomach ache. I was really interested in, are you suffering now? And what I was really interested in is not, are you suffering now, but have you had an experience of suffering recently? Or is it an experience of suffering something that is real to you? I'm trying to ask that question without getting very abstract about it.
So no, suffering is not my experience.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay.
And I don't have a stomach ache right now, but the stomach ache belongs to the body. So the question is better question to ask is, are you perceiving a stomach ache?
Right, that's what I meant, yes.
As opposed to you have a stomach ache. No, right now I'm not perceiving a stomach ache.
Okay.
Because that's not a perception that's appearing at this moment.
Right.
But that has no significance. I mean, in terms of consciousness, because consciousness perceives everything. Although at point A, it's perceiving no stomach ache. At point B, it's perceiving a stomach ache. At point C, it's perceiving a volcanic eruption. At point D, it's perceiving an argument between two partners. The fact that there are many rooms in God's kingdom does not mean that God's kingdom is many kingdoms. It's one kingdom. You have to sort of invite yourself to the possibility that consciousness is not personal and limited, and it's universal. Not adopted as a belief, just be open to that possibility. I'm not talking about the mind in terms of the particular shape of the cloud over this mountain is different from the shape of the cloud over this ocean. That's not talking about that. I'm talking about be open to the possibility that consciousness is universal, that awareness is universal. In spite of the mind being very particular. Now, what may help is to understand that awareness does not need mind. Awareness is aware independent of mind. Awareness knows itself and is itself irrespective of mind, irrespective of forms, irrespective of objects. Once you've understood that, then you can introduce the objects. You can say, okay, well, consciousness is self-knowing and is also all-knowing. First, it's self-knowing, then it's all-knowing. But in terms of the question about the suffering, there comes a point where the tendency to feel that you are a separate person no longer arises. Or arises, like Francis says, 0.001% of the time, and has a very short duration. So, if that was your question, but I like to say it differently. I'd like to say that awareness does not suffer, and reality does not suffer. But if you imagine yourself at any moment, any of us imagines ourselves and feel ourselves and believe ourselves to be immortal body-mind, then we suffer. It's really that simple. There's no need to make a distinction between me and you, or him and her, or no, there's no need to make this distinction. I don't care so much for this distinction. I don't feel this distinction or experience this distinction.
Okay.
Because this distinction is not real. It's not a real, it's a conceptual distinction.
Right. I wanted to make the distinction to distinguish between someone like you who is really clear of who you are and really clear that you're not a separate self, and someone like me who's still struggling with this issue. Okay.
Yes, but you know, any time that you are not that you're not in that belief and feeling structure, you're okay. But, you know, most of our experience is void of ignorance, is just being. There are two things. There is the dormant belief. It's subterranean belief that I am still somebody. So it's as if, yeah, all is well. Here I am having fun with friends. We're having a glass of wine. We're enjoying each other's company. but there's something slightly nagging in the background, but we got so habituated to it that we don't even notice it. There is that, which is the me feeling. And then there is events that happen that irritate us. You piss me off. How come you speak to me like that? Why did you say this to me? Why did you disappoint me? These are more like the bubbling, the bubbling of that dormant feeling. Yeah. So in our inquiry about the belief that I am this person, we are tackling both. We are tackling both the subterranean me feeling and also how it manifests itself in life, in certain situations. In spite of that, I like to point more to the fact that in this moment, I is this reality which perceives. I is this awareness. And it's neither here nor there. Here and there appears, is an appearance. So the direct experiential aspect of yourself is available to you in this moment as non-historical. There's no history to it. It's not historical. In this moment of awareness, beingness, there isn't a past and a future. So even the subterranean me feeling is not there in this moment. And would say that the more frequently we experience this presence, pure presence, and the more we reflect upon pure presence, and the more we live our life, align our thinking, our feeling, our acting, our behavior with pure presence, the more we are, the more the subterranean me feeling thins out and dissolves.
Okay, thank you very much, Magdi. Thank you.
Okay, George. So I see in the chat a bunch of comments, questions. I'm not sure if let's see. John, I'm going to read some of the comments. So John writes, suffering requires a sense of self, attachment, and dissatisfaction. Yes, if there is no suffering, why is there compassion? So compassion is this really wonderful capacity of sensing how the other is feeling, to sort of sense how the other is sensing. Because in consciousness, there are no borders. So compassion is this quality of sensing beyond our bubble, beyond our personal a sense of limitation. You say, why is there compassion? I guess because consciousness loves it this way, and compassion is sweet. There's no issue with compassion. It is one of the ways we feel our affection for each other. Emmanuel, yes, Pamplona, yes, thank you, Emmanuel. So John also writes to everyone, infinite imaginary constructs of the mind head, God head, or the unity of awareness are only conceptual. My individual, unique, and unshared experience makes communication the only means of sharing vicarious. What I'm going to do is, rather than reading all that, if there are any questions, people can pose their question live, and we can just have a conversation, not via the chat. So, if there are any questions.
Hola, Magdi.
Hola, Emmanuel.
Do you hear me?
Yes, and now I see you.
Hello.
Okay, Emmanuel. All right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay. There might be some noises in the background
Okay.
because I'm at work now, but just in
Yes.
case. Yeah, very lovely. See you. I wish I could hug you. So I would like to, if we can reflect and share about love, being in love. Is it possible to be in love without the sense of separation? I mean, in a relationship, you know, and we are experiencing this beautiful time together. So we can say that, yes, we are in love, and I am in love with her, but it's interesting because I'm not creating like images about her and don't have expectations. We are living a very peaceful and sweet relationship. But and there is this, I don't know if it's a feeling or no, but of love, of sweetness. So what is it like to be in love? What if we are one? Why there is this special feeling or sense of connection with this being or this person? What is it to be in love?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when you are locked in your room, for a week, the door is closed and the shutters are closed. And then we open the door and you step out and it's beautiful sunshine and the birds are singing, the beautiful wind and beautiful trees. You experience, how beautiful, how wonderful. But if you are in your room and you can open the door anytime and the windows are, are open, or you can open the windows anytime. When you open the door and you step outside, yeah, it's nice, but it's not like, oh, wow. It's like, wow, nice, You go back into the room because you feel like it. You go back outside when you feel like it. It's natural. So love is natural. But this doesn't mean that we have the natural experience of love. Because we are in the room, with the door locked and the windows closed. So we are there for a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year. Then we step outside. It's like coming out of the jail, you see. So we feel in love that way. We feel in love because of the deprivation, as a the isolated person with all the rules and the regulations, don't do this, don't that, be like this, be like that. We are not like children. The children are easy to love and laugh. You see, sometimes a 2-year-old, they kiss each other and they haven't even met. They just run and they hug each other, say, oh, yes, look at this beautiful boy, look at this beautiful girl. They go, they kiss each other and they hug each other. And maybe 2 minutes later, they're fighting. I don't know, maybe not. Now, in love, it's natural. There isn't a me and a you. We are just all in the garden. We're all playing in the garden, in the same garden. Like the birds, they flying from branch to branch. They're happy. Well, they have to get their food, all day. But in our case, the main issue we have is unhappiness. And the unhappiness has a very particular reason, which is that we are not open. We have become closed. And so we wait for opportunity to become open, to be like a children. See, when you say you're in love, you're not trying to impress somebody. If you're trying to impress somebody, you want something. It's a desire. When you're expecting something, it's not love. Is it some form of attachment or some form of desire or some form of wanting, say? But in the moment of love, you are surrendered. You are killed in a way. You are no longer planning something or thinking something or hoping for something. No, you are the drunk, like a drunk. You're drunk with love, You forget, all your ideas, images, beliefs about yourself, images about the world. You're free. You're experiencing freedom, joy, happiness. But then you project on an object. Say, oh, this is object. I have to have that. This is the object. And then you have, the whole up and down of, it's different. It's different. Because your happiness is with the object, and so you don't want to lose the object, and it's going both ways. So, but when you in the relationship, you are free, and freedom is for you, for everybody, not just for you. When you're living the freedom in the relationship, when when you're living the freshness, the creativity in the relationship. When you are not carrying the past and your beliefs and your ideas and your hopes and the future, and when you are exploring freshly life, living freshly life, then all the doors and the windows are open. Your relationship and life are not separate because you are open. You're open in the relationship, you're open in life. You cannot be open and free and happy in the relationship and then miserable when you in the rest of your life. No, relationship goes beyond just you and your partner or your partners. It's more global, more how you are, in how you're living, how you're what you are holding on to, what you're defending, what you're expecting, the rigidity of your life, or not, or the flow, say. So, but you know, it's not an idyllic situation, because in practically we have our requirements, our conditions, we have our habits, we have our way. We want things a certain ways. Your partner wants things a certain way. So then you have to interact around that. So how do you interact around that? Is you can interact, you can be open and say, okay, it's an exploration. It's an exploration. And it's an exploration with the understanding that the more you are grasping, the more you're defending, the more you're trying to protect, the more chaotic, it is. So you can explore from this place of openness and creativity and understanding, honoring each other. But then you don't know, your partner may have a different way. So here you are. I mean, it's not a dance, it's a pas de deux, or you have your partner. So how your partner is interacting, responding, feeling, emoting, reacting, blah, blah. You don't know. It's moment by moment. So it's okay not to know, because you don't need to bring a certain structure, in the relationship. Whatever is needed will arise in the moment. Whichever way you need to interact, interface can arise in the moment. Now, for happiness and freedom, they go hand in hand. So the freedom is within oneself. Freedom. There is the freedom from the belief that I am a person. It's this ultimate freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want. That's not the ultimate freedom. Ultimate freedom is inner freedom, to be free from all belief, to be free from the sense of limitation, free from the sense of me, where the sense of lack is, the sense of incompleteness, and free from fear. Fear is always about tomorrow. Yesterday, the regret and fear. The regret, the past, the future, the fear. What if I don't? What if? Be free from fear. You cannot be free from fear tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow. You only be free from fear now. So you're free from free now in your understanding that you are free now. Now consciousness is this freedom. That there is no yesterday, no tomorrow for consciousness. It's just beauty, love, freedom, creativity, joy, happiness, beauty, creativity, spontaneity. And understanding, listening. Sometimes you are quiet, and sometimes we are not. We express. You don't know how it unfolds. But it's in the moment. So, in the relationship, above all, your freedom, then it can be part of the relationship. You cannot get your freedom from the relationship or in the relationship. Freedom comes from understanding. The understanding that I does not refer to body-mind, that I is reality. No, it's not. There's nothing at stake for space, for the universe. Nothing at stake for being, for presence, for awareness. That there isn't something that consciousness is trying to protect or value or to see reality, the reality of being. And then you have to live, with that understanding. Live according to that understanding. See how you can live in this understanding moment by moment. You see. Francis often says, it's not the mind that we love in the other, it's a consciousness. What we love in each other is the consciousness. Well, what we love in each other is the love. What we value, what we appreciate in each other is the truth, the love, the awareness. Like if you are given a beautiful partner to love, but without awareness, without their awareness, let's say they're just an object, you don't enjoy that. What you enjoy is what we love is the consciousness, is the awareness, not the mind, not the body. At the body level, it's more like some sort of chemistry. But chemistry is like you mix this with that and it does psh, like that. It's just a reaction. It's not the substance. It's not the love. It's an event. The chemistry is an event. Is a possibly moment of enjoyment, but it's not the love. You see, sometimes we get attached to the chemistry, to the feeling. We say, oh, when we met, it was like this and like that, and now it's different. You see, because we are confusing. We don't know what truly love is. We are confusing the mind with love. Love is what sustains the mind. But love is not at the mind level. Love is not at the mind level or at the body level. Love is what sustains, it's the substance, it's the understanding. Understanding in the relationship is the love.
Okay, but there is also like an enjoyment of the form,
Yeah, of course.
of the body,
Sure. Yeah.
and I don't mean only like in the sexual thing, but also like sometimes when I see her, when I see that specific body, there is this
Yes.
also this sense of beauty, this
Yes.
sense of tenderness,
But you have to
of
be
sweetness.
careful not to uh, not to confuse that with the source of happiness.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
yes,
So you celebrate,
or the source of love.
or the source of love. Happiness and love are one. Yes,
Mhm,
of course there is that, and that's beautiful. I mean,
mhm.
to be together, to think of each other, to go for walks with each other, to make love together, to go to the theater together, whatever, whatever do. But there has to be the happiness is in the freedom. It's not in. That's a celebration. That's as you say, the joy, enjoying the relationship. But the happiness doesn't come from the enjoyment of relationship. It's the happiness that allows the enjoyment of the relationship. You cannot enjoy the relationship if you're not happy. You will always find problems. So because of the happiness, the ground that allows the enjoyment. So the enjoyment has background. Yes. So that's wonderful. If you enjoy, that's wonderful.
Yes.
So what is your question about that?
No. It was just a comment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Came
Absolutely.
up.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, look at the children when they go play in the ground together. They're having great fun.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. They splash in the water and they play in the sand and they whatever. Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, maybe what I meant with that comment is that yes, you recognize yourself in the other. You know that love is that the connection, or that the other is not really other, but
Yes.
the oneness that I am or we are.
Yes.
But also at the same time, included in that, there is also the possibility of enjoying
Yeah.
the beauty of the form, and the
Absolutely.
sweetness
Yes. Absolutely.
of the body, of the skin, of kissing, of
Yes.
touching,
Yes.
all these. It's nice. And sometimes like we are very close physically together, and we are looking into each other's eyes, and we say to each other like I love you, but when I say these three words to her, I really try to be very aware that it's not me, not Emmanuel, that is saying these words to Florencia, to another person. It's
Once
like it's like I these words come up like it's almost like I'm telling this to myself, but not myself, the body mind, but awareness. It's just I don't know how it's complicated to express that in words, but
I get it. Once there is the understanding that about consciousness, the understanding is there. So you say I love you, and say I love you. In a way, you already understand what I is. You can't reverse the understanding. You can decide at that moment that you want to overlook the understanding, but you cannot reverse it. Once you understand that you are awareness, that I refers to awareness, then you're free. You say, I love you, or I like the way you look. I like the way you dance, you know. You don't need to keep remembering, oh, I means not Emmanuel, means you don't need to, because already you have the understanding. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
But
only whenever you are feeling and acting like Emmanuel, then you need to recollect. You follow? When you
maybe yeah, go ahead.
when you become judgmental or in your expectations, when you revert to I am Emmanuel and you're not fulfilling my expectations, you're not acting the way I want you to act, then at that moment you need to recollect. In other words, when you get off the highway, you need to go back to the map.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just that I want to be watchful, you know, because I know that the the me feeling can arise at some point, and
yeah, but you can paralyze yourself with being watchful. You know, you live life. And when you get off the road, you know it, because the vehicle is going to go boom, 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 boom. That's when you you readjust. But when you're on the road, you're driving. It's automatic in a way.
Emmanuel, do you have children?
No.
I think that makes a big difference in how you understand love. I see love more as an environment that you build, like a nest, in which your sharing occurs. The sharing is based on an understanding, and so is the construction of the love surrounding that communication and that sharing. But you'll note, even in your mind, you can imagine having children. The love you will have and the way you express that love is different for them, because they are different in that and they're part of the communication. And love is just the environment in which you communicate.
Okay. Thanks for sharing it. Yeah, actually, we don't want children. Both of us.
Well, I was just using that as an analogy. You have friends that you love, and again, the love is different because of the way the communications that you need to share with them, and the way you want to do it, whether it be your football buddies or your engineering work companions or whatever. You may have a love for them that's going to be different, but the love is the environment in which you share your communications with trust and support.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, I mean, love is one, and its expressions are infinite.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
I don't want
Manuel.
to take much of your time.
Mucho gusto. Okay.
Easy, very sweet to share with you.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. Any questions?
I guess, Magdi, the question I had about compassion and attachment had more to do with the pain that I feel with my patients, and my ability to distinguish between compassion and empathy is a way of providing myself some relief from the pain. I see pain as an experience, a way I interpret the sensations that I have about their troubles and what I can or cannot do to help them with their troubles. Same thing for other people, having compassion for my situation.
Yeah, we feel compassion in the moment where we're in the presence of somebody, and we in a way sense sort of we get a sense, not a sense like it's as if we're feeling like we are feeling, like they are feeling. There's a compassion, with sort of there's this mirror, transparency between us. How we interpret, what we do with that
Understanding.
let's say this love. Yeah, in a way, it's an understanding, or what we do with this emotion, because it's not a negative emotion. It's a positive emotion. It's an emotion of that reflects our oneness. What we do with that is open to us. We do whatever we want to do with that. We can interpret it in any way we want, and take it wherever we want to take it. That's our freedom to just go with it wherever we want to go with it, or just we don't need to go anywhere with it. It's in a way it's sufficient. This compassion is sufficient to sort of to sense there's love in compassion. There's a recognition of our oneness as that one reality.
I guess I see love as different from compassion, in that I can have compassion for someone I see for, just 3 minutes. I have compassion for them and their situation, whether it be a joyous one or a painful one. The compassion is also something that I have to interpret as joy or pain.
But the interpretation of the compassion is not the experience itself. Of course, we can interpret it whichever way we want, but the interpretation is an afterthought, and the compassion itself is pre-interpretation. Now, in terms of, in compassion, it's like it's not an activity of the mind. It is an experiential fact. Whenever we're experiencing it. And same thing with love. Love is not an activity of the mind. It is an experience. Now, when we're experiencing love or when we're experiencing compassion, in both cases, there isn't a subject and an object. At that moment, there is a sort of a
joining
union. It's more our sense of duality is at that moment not there. At that moment, there is no separation. There's no separation. So there is a common aspect to compassion and to love, which is the absence of separation, the non-separation. So there is love in compassion, and there is compassion in love. There is understanding in compassion, and there is understanding in love. In understanding, there isn't an object and a subject. There is just the understanding. There's the dissolution of the object and the subject in the understanding, in the moment of understanding or of compassion or of love. Now, the interpretation is something else, of course. Then that's after the fact. There is whichever way we interpret it, whichever way we conceptualize it, whichever way we choose to formulate it. but the experience itself precedes the interpretation or the formulation, which is also the experience of presence. The experience of awareness is the interpretation of that which we experience is not the experience itself. Like the map is not the road. Of course, there is no issue with conceptualizing our experience or interpreting our experience and doing whatever we want to do with our experience, conceptually. Well, what we talk about here is that is it possible to experience and live our life without maintaining the unhappiness which we experience in our life. So in order to do that, we have to come to an understanding about what is the process. So what is the root cause of unhappiness? And that's quite important. You need to come to some understanding about the process that is affecting your experience. But in its essence, in its substance, our experience is equal. All of us, our experience is equal in that our experience is that of non-dual being, non-dual presence, non-dual, which we can call love, freedom, joy, happiness. Albeit it is not, we're not knowingly happy. We are veiled. There's a veil of the me story, the me in time, a past and my future, which is the sense of being a separate person. That sort of is the party pooper in our life, and that aspect, that belief, in being a person is sort of an ongoing process. It's been so habitual, so we're familiar with this me feeling, that we no longer, we don't examine that, what's the impact of that.
I guess I find, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I guess I find that is maybe the main purpose for some of my meditations in the process of dissection and analysis of what it means to be me in the various aspects of me, the physical me, the mental me, the emotional me, and how that connects with whatever essential component of the universe I constitute, how I share that existence with everyone else, and in what ways I can do it using channels like love and compassion and activity, all of which, again, seem to form conduits or envelopes or a nest in which the sharing of existence can occur in more satisfying and fulfilling ways.
Yes, love and compassion, living as, according to the principle of love meaning, universal being, meaning the other is myself. It's not a discriminating love, it's love across the board. Love does not mean accepting a bully. No, I mean, of course, I think that's not how I mean it, but to live according to the principle of love, the other is myself, and it's that sort of provides all the answers to our questions. How is the various sense of me integrate with the whole, and through the path of love and honor and contemplation and
I guess the compassion is the route that I would use that I have used with the bully. I mean, I understand. I've sometimes felt myself to be a bully, and so I think I understand some of what it means to be a bully and how painful that can be. I know people who have killed. I know people who have harmed others accidentally, and all of those don't require me to do what I consider love, because it doesn't really contain the communication and the trust that I think love, as Emmanuel has described it, it requires. Compassion is, as I said before, something I can have immediately.
Yes.
In a situation where it can be either painful or joyful, but I can understand, or I can, for lack of another word, empathize with the subject of my compassion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is different from spouse love, where it's a sharing of equal partners, whereas in compassion, I generally think of myself, and maybe that's an advantage of compassion over love, I think of myself as still in charge of myself, whereas in love, I don't think of myself as in charge of the relationship. I think of myself as sort of a partner. Even with my child, my love is a channel for our relationship, but it is limited by my child's capabilities and intellectual ability and emotional ability. And if I don't respect that in my child, it harms my child as well as me.
Yeah, but like love is non-phenomenal. It's something that we sense at a deeper level. Our children, right from the onset, they are like we are. They are the love. They already are the love. So it's more about how we deviate from love, how we separate love, how we place conditions upon love, or we place the mind constructs upon love. So I feel like love is more about getting out of the way, rather than adopting certain appropriate way. So when you get out of the way, what I mean by that is your historical self, the me, the person, with my beliefs, my structures, my opinions, my roles, all the learning, and the psychological learning, not the practical learning. When the psychological learning is out of the way, I wouldn't use the word learning, the psychological conditioning, when we're not operating from that place, what we've inherited, because there is, of course, some intelligence we've inherited, but there's a lot of BS that we've inherited, from whatever we inherited from, that often is operating in our life, especially with our children. It's there are expectations, conditions. Of course, there is the veil of love, that under the guidance of love. Sometimes it's under the guise, in English, under the disguise of love. Sometimes it's not really love; it's concern or some fears we have or some worries we have. Now, compassion. Talking about about the bully, the compassion. Yes, I really like that, because when we were saying that we all have the bully in us. We are everything. We have all the human aspects. It is a little bit arrogant from us to define ourselves, as special in any way. There's nothing special about this particular mind, and this particular mind has all the downloads. I can be a bully. I can be a nasty person. I mean, to acknowledge that this potential is there at the mind level. You see, so but the mind and is not doesn't define what you are. Of course, if you identify yourself with the mind, then you are a bully. But bullying thoughts can appear to you, and it's quite different. When something appears to you, then you are the perceiver, and then you have a choice. But when you're identified with whatever appears to you, it's as if you have no choice. You are that. You are the bully. So bullying thoughts or judgmental thoughts or fearful thoughts can appear to you, but you are that awareness which perceives. As awareness, you are the freedom already. You're the freedom, and we all are that. We all are this aware presence. That's our reality. We're all, and in life, what's available to me is this recognition, the recognition which is always in this moment, that I am this non-phenomenal reality, this presence, and that I know that I am, but I do not know what I am. And as this amness, it's living itself through this, through all body minds, this body mind and all body minds. There is an equalizer in among all of us, which is consciousness. Anyways, it's time to say thank you all.
Thank you.
Trish and John, nice to chat with you and nice to meet you. Emmanuel, Holger, Malcolm, Shiva, Isaac, and Marga. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.